We went on a little family vacation last week. We drove from Houston to Tucson, where my husband's whole family lives there in Tucson. And we spent a couple of days there visiting with them. And then we all drove to Las Vegas for a few days. And this was for my in-laws' 50th wedding anniversary. Their anniversary is actually April the 20th, but they're celebrating now because, well, really because Taylor's on spring break, and you know, it takes us a while to get to where they are. But so they were celebrating their 50th anniversary, which just happens to coincide with our 25th anniversary, which is 3 days after their 50th. And you know, when we got married, I remember trying to choose the date, you know, that was convenient for everyone, which is just impossible. And I really felt kind of bad choosing the date that I did, because then it was their 25th anniversary, you know, and they were trying to celebrate that, and I was all wrapped up in wedding, and I felt a little bit guilty about that, but for some reason this was just the date that it needed to be. I don't remember the details. But let me tell you what, smartest thing we ever did, because, you know, they had this big celebration for their 50th, and they invited the whole family along. So basically, we just pretended that it was our big 25th anniversary celebration that we got for free. Score! So you young girls remember that. Get married at a you know, milestone anniversary for one of your parents, and then you can just piggyback all your celebrations on them. Words of advice from an old broad. Somewhere between Tucson and Las Vegas, something crawled into my sinuses and is nesting there. I don't know what it is, and it won't come out. I'm not sure if I'm sick, which just can't be, because I was sick like a month ago. And I should be good for at least 5 or 6 years, because I don't ever get sick. So I don't really think I'm sick. But oh my gosh, the congestion, and I won't even describe to you what I'm blowing out my nose, but I've never seen anything like it. I don't think I have an infection or anything, although I could. But anyway, that's all just to say I apologize for the way I sound. You should be used to it by now, because I'm constantly stopped up from allergies, and that may be all it is. Because let me tell you, there was some dust here, and Houston is supposed to be one of the most polluted cities in the U.S., but I have to tell you, I have never seen smog in Houston like I saw in Las Vegas. In fact, I rarely see smog in Houston. Even downtown, you know, I'll see a slight haze. But Las Vegas, I kid you not, there was a woman a few rooms down from us who was at the end of the hallway where the elevators are in our hotel. And there's a window, and she was taking pictures. And Taylor, my daughter, was standing there next to her, and the woman was going, she was foreign, I don't know from where, but, you know, she had an accent, and she said, "The sunset is quite beautiful, isn't it?" And Taylor looked out. This woman was taking pictures of the smog on the horizon, thinking it was a sunset. You know, bless her heart, what can you say? So anyway, I have a feeling that it may just be the dust from the region and some of the pollution that has caused this allergy attack. Because I had a sore throat for a little while, but I don't feel bad anywhere else, so I don't think I'm sick. This is going to be a 2-hour video, isn't it? Because I'm in a babbling mood today. Alright, let's try to get through this. This is my travel journal that I kept on the trip. And it's quite healthy, and I have to tell you, I really had fun keeping this journal. Sometimes it's a chore to do them, and I don't enjoy it. I'll just be honest. Sometimes I don't. You know, sometimes you're in the mood, sometimes you're not. But this one I did enjoy. I don't know why. I don't know if it was because, excuse me. Sorry, it comes out of nowhere. Sorry. I don't know if it was because of the region, if it was the journal itself, if it was just my mood. I don't know what it was, but I had fun with this. Now, this started out as one of these little junk journals that I've been making for the craft show that's coming up. It looked something like this. I've been using my hand-painted papers for the covers, and then some decorative tape to reinforce the spine, and then just all kinds of junk. Nothing fancy. There's not even any sewing and pockets and stuff in these. It's just papers glued on to other papers. There's a few fold outs, but you know, really just very basic. It looked very much like this one. It had a pharmacy envelope in it. So that was it. Now these are a little bit different size because the size of the journal is determined by the size of the piece of junk mail that I use to make it out of. I like to use those big glossy postcards that you get in the mail because they're pretty sturdy, but they're all different sizes, so that's the size difference. I made a few modifications before I left. One thing I did was I put an envelope, this envelope, in the back of the journal, and inside it I just had some extra pieces of different sizes of lined paper, and that was in case I ran out of places to write or, you know, needed an extra paper to glue in. I would have some. Now I've got, you know, while we were out, I always steal the hotel stationery because I feel like they want us to steal it. Why would they put it out if they didn't want us to steal it, right? And it's advertisement. You use it and you're advertising for them. So they want us to take these. And so I do. And I use them in my journals. So that's what I've stuck in here right now. And when this started out, it did have the hand-painted cover. It was different than this, but, you know, it was one of my painted paper covers. But it's made differently. See on this one how I wrapped the cover around the edge? I didn't do it on this one, and so the edges were a little flimsy and they got kind of chewed up. Water. Because I was constantly shoving it in my bag and pulling it out, and you know, it took quite a beating. It actually held up really well. Other than the little frayed edges, it held up fantastic. Nothing came unbound. Even when I added all of this other stuff to it, it held up really well, and I was really happy to see that. But because the edges of my painted paper did get kind of messed up, I ended up recovering it. This was my placemat. We ate at Buca de Beppo in Albuquerque, and they had these little paper placemats. So, you know, of course it's paper, so I took it. And I just ended up recovering it with my placemat, which worked really well. That way I could just reinforce those edges, and it looks nicer. And then I just did the magazine letters, you know, the ransom note type letters. And I might trace around them or something. But that's all there is to it. Simple, easy, and this is one of those where you just stack the, you know, you gather up all your junk mail and scrap papers and notepads. You stack them all together, and then I can't find the middle. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Stack them all together, and then you just sew a straight stitch down the middle. Now I actually usually do about 2 or 3 right next to each other, you know, just to be sure that they're in there good. But that's all the binding is just with my sewing machine, just sew straight down through there. And it sometimes complains about going through the heavy cardstock, but you know, it'll do it. I just have to encourage it and it'll go. But that's all it is. And then I put the tape over it to just kind of hold that binding in, and it reinforces it. So that's all it is. Excuse me. So we were gone for a week, and we drove, and I don't see us doing that again anytime soon, because I would really rather eat dirt than have to sit in the car for hours on end. And, you know, from Houston to Tucson, it wasn't too bad. I think it was, you know, we had to stop and spend the night. We stopped in El Paso, and it was 10 hours to El Paso. And then I think it was another, oh gosh, 8 hours from El Paso to Tucson, or maybe 6 hours. Wasn't very far, but we took a detour, and we stopped in Tombstone on our way to Tucson, because, you know, the gunfight at the OK Corral, we were right there. I'm pointing here because I have the map in my head, and it was here, and Tucson's here. Okay, so that's what that's all about. But okay, how could we not stop? But anyway, that's a long time to be in the car. And then on the way back from Las Vegas to Houston, we stopped. The halfway point was Clovis, New Mexico. Oh my gosh. There's no reason to ever stop in Clovis unless it's the halfway point between you and something else. But it was 11 hours from Las Vegas to Clovis, and then another 11-ish from Clovis to Houston. It was too much. My middle-aged butt cannot handle that much sitting. Even though we did stop pretty regularly, and you know how a lot of times the guys, because Jason always does all the driving, he won't, you know, I always offer and he says nah. And usually they'll complain about the women having to stop and pee, you know, every 40 miles. No, it was Jason who always had to stop and pee. I started calling him and Taylor, you know, Taylor's peanut bladder, and he's the prostate king, because every 2 hours one of them was needing to stop and pee. Of course, I didn't complain. I took advantage of their pit stop and stopped myself. And I'm talking about pee. I'm so sorry. Let's just do this. Okay. Okay, started my journal, and I put pretty much everything in it. Everything that I pick up, every receipt, piece of paper, you know, scraps, maps, whatever, I stick in it. And some of these things I put in before we left, but most of it was added along the way. Some of the, like our hotel confirmations for our trip, the one for El Paso and the one for Clovis, I stuck those in there. Excuse me. The map to Tombstone, which we really don't need because we have a GPS, but I'm kind of old school. I like to see it on paper. I stuck that in there. And then before we left, I'd also made some notes on some things to do and see in both in Tucson and in Las Vegas. And you know, it's not really a plan. We don't really travel with a plan. We travel with some rough ideas, and then we see how it pans out when we get there. So these were just my rough ideas. I'm sorry. Journaling, to me, I don't really, okay, journal. I make lists. I jot down ideas or things that we see that I want to remember. Funny things that somebody says, I will write down. Need a drink, hang on. I'm bound and determined to get through this without hacking up a lung all over my journal. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, I kind of stick everything in there. Yeah, in the journaling, there's nothing, and this doesn't even make sense because this was probably one day and this was another day. So it's not like real journaling, it's just write stuff down. Because if I have to feel like I have to like really journal, you know, meaningful stuff or relevant travel tips or whatever, then I will just seize up and won't be able to journal anything at all. So I just write down whatever. All of the little pictures, these were all done after we got home, and they're basically just a few things, a few pictures that I printed out because I had blank space. I do leave some blank space in my journal on purpose for pictures. So I will print out a few pictures and stick in there. Those are all after the fact. And I don't really stress out about leaving lots of room for lots of pictures because I like my pictures digital. It's just easier for me to keep up with them. You know, I can print them out as needed. I don't need to print out every single picture that we took, which is a good thing because I took 500 pictures. I've never taken that many pictures in my life. I don't know why I took that many pictures. But with me, it's feast or famine. I either take 500 pictures or I completely forget and I don't take a single one. So that's what I get. Anyway, this little journal had, you know, it had this little fold-out junk piece that was similar to this in there. And then I just added, there we go, we open it up, and I just added more fold-outs. This was all, and the nice thing about this is that it's pretty much in chronological order. You know, it's not exact, But yeah, one of the first things we did on our way down there was we stopped at Tombstone. And so this is all about Tombstone, and El Paso was just before that. So, you know, it's not exact, but it's pretty much in close enough chronological order that when I go back to look at it, I'm not completely confused about what we did when. But I always save the little maps of the places that we go. By the way, this was really fun. It was, I expected it to be really cheesy and ridiculous. It was slightly cheesy, but not ridiculous. The guy who played Doc Holliday in the reenactment of the gunfight was like, he did a really good job of Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday. He was awesome. So I printed out a few pictures, took a few notes, and, you know, that's my little area there. I always keep, usually, the hotel key card, because I'll use these someday to spread glue. That's the only reason I keep them. So there we have that, and some more stuff. Texas Canyon, which was really cool, and our first Border Patrol checkpoint, which Jason kept yelling at me for trying to take a picture of it. There's nothing wrong with taking a picture of it, but I don't know, he was paranoid. Like I said, I always pick up maps, hold on to them, and I just glue. You know, there's always at least one little back of the map that has nothing relevant on it, and I just glue that down to whatever page happens to be in my journal. I'm going to get another drink before I choke. Now we get into Tucson. We stayed with my in-laws. They have a new house there in Tucson. If you've ever been there, all the houses look the same. They're brown with tile roofs. In fact, I think the whole state of Arizona is brown with a tile roof, because that's all I saw was brown. And it was really kind of pretty, you know, in a desert sort of way. And the time of year that we were there, you know, last week, was really a good time to be there as far as going out and doing stuff. Like we went to the Desert Museum place, the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. Okay, perfect day to walk around there. You know, if we had waited a month or two, then the scenery would have been nicer, because, you know, more things are in bloom, and I guess something gets green eventually. I'm really not sure. But, so the scenery might have been a little bit prettier, but it would have been too hot to walk around. So you have to kind of, you know, consider what you want. Do you want the scenery, or do you want the comfort? I'm all about comfort. So it was really a good time to be there, but it was a lot of brown, let me tell you. So the Desert Museum was really nice. We went to that. We went to, this is the Mini Time Machine Museum of Miniatures. Sometimes, if like the map doesn't have a good place for me to glue it in, or if it's too big, then I'll take a piece of scrap paper that, you know, I had in the back here, and I'll make a pocket. And then I'll just stick some things in the pocket. These were from the Miniature Museum. And Jason went to the Pima Air and Space Museum, but I had the camera, so he didn't get to take any pictures. But I put his little brochure there. So I printed out a few pictures of that. And if you ever get the chance to go to this, let me just say, go. Go as fast as you can to this Mini Time Machine Museum of Miniatures. I know it sounds ridiculous. You're thinking, what, doll houses? Oh, no. No, no, not doll houses. Miniatures. There is a difference, and it is amazing. I think my mouth was gaping open the whole time. And I'm not really into doll houses. I never was as a child. I kind of thought they were creepy. You know, I've never been into miniatures as an adult, but it's something that was unusual and different, and that interests me. And I would go back in a minute. They had some of the most amazing miniatures I've ever seen. The detail was astounding. And I read somewhere there, I'm choking, hang on. Sorry. That the difference between a dollhouse and a miniature is that a dollhouse is just rooms decorated with small things. You know, it's just little things. It's a dollhouse. Miniatures are historically accurate replicas. Like, these people will research the era that they're doing their miniatures in, and they, it will be historically accurate. The colors, the look, the materials, as much as they can. I mean, they have to be creative. But they, everything is and to scale. I think it's the scale is 1/12 of the original size is the typical scale that they use. So, yes, there is a difference between miniatures and dollhouses. So don't think dollhouses when you go to this. Think miniatures, and it's definitely art. It's amazing. I loved that. Okay, we had some family pictures made while we were there in Tucson, in a really pretty area. We ate gelato. I don't know why I saved my spoon, but it fit right there, so I saved it. Then we drove to Las Vegas, where my in-laws provided rooms for everyone at the Cosmopolitan. I'd never heard of the Cosmopolitan. It's relatively new. I think it opened in 2010, and it is, as far as a resort on the Strip goes, it's small and very unassuming. And you should stay here if at all humanly possible. This is not what we, Jason and I don't ever see us spending a weekend in Las Vegas on our own. My in-laws provided this, so even though this is not the hotel that I personally picked, I would have picked it. I was that impressed with it. Sorry. It's not one of those theme park like resorts on the Strip. It's not like Paris. It's right across from Paris, and they have all the Eiffel Tower, and it's not like that at all. It doesn't have any of those kind of attractions in it. It is elegant. It is artistic, which I liked about it. There was art everywhere. Some of it was digital and these big screens that they had all over the place, and then some of it was actual paintings and sculptures. They had these Artemat machines. Oh, I know I took a picture. Yeah, it's like an old vintage cigarette machine, and you stick $5 in and you get out a piece of art, and it comes in a box like this. See, this is not quite chronological, but I didn't want to destroy my box. I wanted to keep it in one piece. So the box was like this, and there's tons of them in the machine, and it'll have a little something on the front that tells a little bit about it, and you pick which one you want for $5. This said Painting on a String, an upcycled art thing, and it's by a Texas artist, Kelsey Huckabee. And that's why I chose it. It's like, oh, she's a Texas girl. Okay. So I picked her. I put in my $5. I pulled the thing. This came out. That. And then I opened up the little box, and inside was her card right here, and then a little description of what she enclosed, and this little saying that I've fallen in love with. When you look at a painting, you know there must have been a painter. When you look at creation, you should acknowledge that there is a creator. I just love that. I'm gonna use that in something at some point. And then I kept my oh, there they are. This is what was in there. There's these little paintings on a string, or she actually said bookmarks. You can use them for whatever. I don't know. But they're pieces, small pieces of canvas that she has painted, and they actually look like they may be overpaint, like the edges that she's cut off of a canvas or something from a painting. I don't know. But they're very pretty. They're very modern and abstract. Excuse me. And they're on a string, and it's $5. And it came out of a machine, and it was so fun. And there's all kinds of different things. There's some that have drawings, and even little framed pieces of art or jewelry. Sorry. But that was fun. And those machines were just on various floors throughout the hotel. They had, I didn't print out a very big picture, but I don't know if you can see. This is the inside of the closet in our room. Fornacetti wallpaper. Coolest hotel closet ever. It was so awesome. And then I just, see, this little page was in my journal, and then I got this map of the hotel there at the hotel. And so I glued it, glued it in and just made it kind of a fold out. And then got another map out of something, I don't know, that was a map of the Strip. You know, they have those free books or little magazine things on in the back of the pockets of a taxi cab. I grabbed a couple of those. I think this was in one of those. And our hotel was right next door to the Bellagio, and our rooms looked down onto the Bellagio fountain. So we got a fountain view 24/7, day and night, and you know, we could just sit on our balcony and watch it in our jammies. So it was like the best thing ever. This was another map that we had, like our own personal attendant. What did she call herself? Guest experience manager. Her name was Elaine, and she was like our go-to girl if we needed anything. She met us when we first came in. We didn't have to go through the checkout or anything, you know. She just handed us our room keys because my in-laws had arranged for all this ahead of time. And she gave us this, you know, showing where everyone would be staying. So I stuck it in and then used it for some more pictures. That was fun. That was at our hotel. That was Jason being a diva. And then we ate at the awesome buffet. So, more maps that I printed out, and receipts, and just writing about stuff that we did. We went to the Shark Reef at Mandalay Bay. I really wasn't that impressed with the Strip. There were some things that were really cool. But, you know, replicas of things don't generally flip my switch. The things, and we didn't see everything, obviously. We just had a few days. But the things I really did like, the Bellagio inside the conservatory, which was amazing, and then they have that huge chihuly on their ceiling with the big blown glass things. I'd been dying to see that for a long time, and that's what that looks like. It is so much bigger than I thought it was, and that's the conservatory. So those impressed me. Caesar's Palace impressed me. The Forum, it's called the Shops at the Forum at Caesars. Their ceiling looks like a sky, and it like changes, and I mean, you really do feel like you're outside. It's just designed and engineered so spectacularly. It's breathtaking. And then their statuary and fountains are amazing. But Caesars failed in one area. They have this show, you know, one of those free shows that a lot of the resorts do, and it's called The Fall of Atlantis. And you go, and it's at one of their fountains, and it has the absolute worst animatronic atrocity I've ever seen in my life. Like, they need to call Disney and take lessons immediately. It was so bad. The audio is so bad, I had no clue what was going on. The animatronics were herky-jerky and awful. And there was fire, and there was water, and then that was the end. Total waste of time. Don't ever go there. Well, okay, if you go there, don't go for the show, but go to the Atlantis area, because the little aquarium that they have surrounding the Atlantis exhibit, it was actually really better than the Shark Reef thing at Mandalay Bay. There's some really nice fish and rays and stuff in there, so I enjoyed that. But what I really liked, you know, there were some things on the Strip that I enjoyed, but what I really liked was downtown. Fremont Street. All of the vintage neon that was down there. Just the old school Las Vegas feel. I loved it. I loved downtown. So I will definitely spend more time there next time. That's the Hacienda Horseman from the 1950s. But that's what I really liked. When I have, leftover tickets, I stick them in my journal. This was a card that came, my in-laws arranged for the hotel to provide us with a cake for our anniversary, which I thought I had a picture in here somewhere. Maybe I haven't. Anyway, we got a cake and a big bottle of champagne, and oh my gosh, it was just beautiful. Best cake ever. It was like a tiramisu cake, and the outside I thought was covered in fondant because it was just a smooth white something. It was not fondant. Okay, sorry about that. My memory card filled up. And it filled up right as I was about to tell you what my awesome anniversary cake was covered in. Should I just leave you in suspense? Nah, that'd be cruel. It was white chocolate. It was really, really good. Another thing that was really good, the Cosmopolitan has a secret pizza place inside. This is the hallway to the pizza place. The pizza place has no name, no advertising. You will not find it if you're not looking for it. It is just kind of tucked in a hallway that looks like nothing. And it is seriously the best pizza I've ever had in my life. We found it, we Googled the heck out of it to actually find where it was. We found it. We had pizza. They sell it by the slice if you go there, or you can get a whole one to take out. But I got a piece that was a white pizza, and it had slices of meatballs and sun-dried tomatoes on it. Best pizza ever. And that's just all there is to it. So, yeah, if you stay at the Cosmopolitan, or if you're there on the Strip, go in there and search for the hidden pizza place. I'll give you a clue. It's on the 3rd floor. That's all I'm saying. I found it. You can Google it. It's not that hard. Picked that up. Got that out of the taxi. Okay. We took, I guess it must have been when we took the taxi. We went to the Atomic Testing Museum, and we took a taxi back. And the guy was like this Ethiopian, our driver was, and we're driving along, and he says, "Ma'am, would you like some air conditioning?" In his little Ethiopian accent. And I said, "Oh, yes, I really would. That'd be nice, thank you." He said, "Okay." I roll down windows. He rolls down all the windows, okay, because 80-degree dust blowing in your face is so refreshing. Learned my lesson. Never ask the cab driver to turn on the air conditioner. That's more downtown Fremont. The Atomic Testing Museum was fun. They had an Area 51 exhibit, which was really, it was like cheesy awesome. We went to the museum in Roswell. I can't remember what they called it. Maybe it was just the Roswell Museum or the UFO Museum. I forget. But anyway, this one was even much better than the Roswell one, and but still just cheesy fun. These were our identities for the Area 51 exhibit, and they were on these lanyards, so I stuck them in there. These were all the brochures from the Atomic Testing Museum, and pictures of Jason and Taylor and the Hoover Dam, and me, and our hotel bill. And as you can see, I just kind of keep a little bit of everything. And I had to go when we were in the Forum at Caesar's Palace. I just happened to see a Sephora, and it the day before, I accidentally dropped my blush on the bathroom floor, which was this like marble tile, and it shattered everywhere. Blush all over the place. So I had to go get me a new blush, and I stuck this in here, and I kept, you know, things that I collected and needed to stick in my journal. I just shoved in there and held on to them while I was waiting. Another hotel bill, and the end. So that is my travel journal. It's fat, it's happy, it's fun, it's something that, you know, I can and will look back through and show other people who, you know, might be interested in looking. So this was a really fun journal to do, and I hope that you will do one. And it was nothing but junk mail and junk and scrap paper and notepads, and then I just added more of the same to it, and it's just a whole little fat happy bundle of memories. Okay, that's all for now. I will, I'm gonna just go cough up some more phlegm, and then I'll think of something else to do. Okay, bye.